All right, well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton, and no, I haven't gotten much sleep since last night. Watching the game last night, if you're a Lions fan who felt like maybe the officials had an objective against the Lions, maybe a reason to kind of not give us the benefit of some calls, you might not be alone on that. If you see in the thumbnail for this one, I'm just going to dive in. I went on air last night during the live cast. I gave a lot of praise, thoughts, whatever that I shouldn't say praise, but I had a lot of thoughts that there's no way the ESPN, SI.com, anybody like that's going to come after the NFL. They've just got too much to lose. If you upset Roger Goodell in the, I guess you could say, the power that is the NFL, they're going to come after you. One thing I do want to show, though, as I scroll to the top of the screen for this, is that Sports Illustrated, Fox Sports, amongst others, are blatantly calling out the NFL over 0 penalties in win over the Lions, Habs fans blasting. So I'm going to throw a bunch of things at you guys. If you can, go to SI.com or a couple different outlets that have the stories. You can see they break down and analyze several different plays where they had their people look at it. And yes, found holding calls, face masks. I did not see the face mask, to be honest, live on air, etc. while going through all this. You did have Detroit reporters basically jumping on this too. What has also come to light, NFL is a business. You get it, I get it, everybody else gets it. Here's something you may not know. Since the year 2000, there have been 16 zero penalty games in the NFL. Since 2018, the Kansas City Chiefs have now 4 of those games. Is that a coincidence when nobody else in the league has more than one? I would say that's some damning evidence for Roger Goodell in the NFL. If you watch one of the breaking news videos we had earlier today, you may have seen this. Let's dive into it. One of the plays, if you didn't see it earlier, is here's why Brian Branch is upset. At the end of the game, blatant block in the back, penalty not called. And if you watch that again, you see the official at the top of the screen looking directly down the line. He should easily, clear as day, be able to see this. Doesn't see it. If you go throughout all the clips I just put up there, you also see Patrick Mahomes running in for a touchdown, taunting, a point of emphasis in the NFL. Well, not so much if you're a Kansas City Chiefs. You can see Patrick Mahomes not only point the ball at Brian Branch, but then also dust himself off and do some other gestures, obviously trying to taunt Brian Branch. Did you know through the SI.com and other people looking into it, apparently there were as many as 12 or 17 non-calls against the Kansas City Chiefs. Some of these I get are going to come down to your view or interpretation of the rules. But anytime you start getting past 5, 6, 8, 12, 14 of those, you start to feel that maybe there was an objective at hand for if you're a Detroit Lions fan. Vegas clearly had money against or for the Lions. The NFL might have bet against the Lions, and maybe they helped out with the outcome. There's also the fact that, hey, the NFL understands who Kelsey is dating. And then, hey, Swifties everywhere brace the Kansas City Chiefs now. They do bring a lot of financial windfalls to the NFL, to I'm sure Kansas City as well. As people go to support Taylor Swift, they watch Kansas City, who they normally don't watch. Why? Well, because they like the Swifties like to watch and embrace Taylor Swift. I think you got a lot of parts here, and if you do get time today, go check out that story. One of them you'll find it on is SI.com. They do break down tons of different plays that should have been called, and this is from their independent, they say, research committee, looking at the film, watching the games, breaking down. The problem becomes, I think even if you're a Kansas City fan, you probably have to start looking and say, all right, 1 or 2 things, maybe they're 50-50, they don't get called or whatever. But again, you start digging into 5, 8, 10, 12, 15, 17 of those in a game. It does seem like the NFL may have had a purpose for the Lions losing that game. Maybe it's for financial consideration. Maybe the refs were just blind. Again, I could show at least the Brian Branch one. I don't have the rest of them dialed into the feed, but you can probably look them up. 2nd and 15. That didn't obviously happen, so you move on from that. All right, let me get that off the screen. Lions, they're going to have to move on from this, but one thing I think is clear is Roger Goodell, in my personal opinion, doesn't have to be your opinion. Since 2008, when he took over the NFL as the commissioner, he did try to remove the Thanksgiving Day game from the Detroit Lions. The Ford family fought him on it, got the NFL owners to step up and say, nah, we're going to keep it with Detroit. And since then, I've covered the Lions since the late 1980s, and I'd say I don't remember anything in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s, any of these kind of odd rules, interpretations. Remember the Jared Goff touchdown that wasn't a touchdown last night? Tell me another time when you can remember a touchdown being scored on the field, and then a minute and 33 seconds later, they say, we changed our mind. It's not a touchdown. They did not, nor could not look at the reviews. So if you didn't see it on the field, if you ruled it a touchdown, how are you able to come to the determination without a shadow of a doubt that he didn't do whatever you feel he didn't do in order to take away the touchdown? It's also the same thing that happened for those who remember the Calvin Johnson process of the catch. Officials on the field called it a touchdown. What happened about a minute and a half later? NFL offices phoned in and said, we have a second opinion on it. We're going to waive it off. And you guys get it? Since 2008, Roger Goodell, for whatever reason, maybe doesn't have the biggest fanfare for Detroit Lions or the Ford family. Now you start seeing more and more, nearly 20 years worth of just odd calls going against the Detroit Lions. Last night, you can take away that touchdown from the Detroit Lions, but it doesn't take away the fact that independent observers of that game have viewed in, watched the game, and come up with, according to them, anywhere from 12 to 17 penalties that were not called against the Kansas City Chiefs. If you think that's some sort of bias, you're not alone. And I give all sorts of credit and praise to everybody at SI.com or Fox Sports, CBS News. They're putting their careers on the line when you take on the NFL. If you guys are fans of Mike Valletti and 97.1 The Ticket, you understand years ago, he took on the Detroit Lions, talked about during the Millen era how bad they were. What did the Detroit Lions do? They took away the ability to play radio broadcast games from 97.1 The Ticket for about 10, 15 years until eventually they won it back. The NFL in the past, if you guys remember, has come after broadcasters like CBS, etc., when occasionally they have bumped heads with the NFL. What's the NFL do? Well, you can't show our games anymore, and that just costs you billions of dollars. It's why, in my personal opinion, you're not going to see a whole lot of people at ESPN or most major outlets take on the NFL because they know what happens. Their jobs get cut. They lose out on money. And you know what? The NFL is exactly that. They are the mob. And if you mess with them, they will mess hard with you back, and it's probably not going to go well for you. Buddy, hey, Coach, hey, how you doing? I side with Branch now. Yeah, me too, man. And it's, again, I get you can't punch somebody, but let's also be fair. Patrick Mahomes taunting him on the touchdown should have been a flag. Yes, it was one of the ones that wasn't called. Should he still punch somebody? No, but that should have been a call against Mahomes. And again, for those just joining, since the year 2000, there have only been 16 games in the NFL where no team has got a penalty. And yet somehow since 2018, the Kansas City Chiefs now have 4 games without a penalty. Nobody else in the NFL has more than one of those games during that same 20-year span, 25-year span. So how is it the Kansas City seems to keep getting this, especially when the week before they were called for 13 penalties, and independent people over at SI.com and other outlets review the game and say, man, there are a ton of missed calls here. Seems like there was an objective. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I'll just, leave you to your own devices. If there is more breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as soon as possible. If you would be so kind before departing, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Do something kind for somebody you don't know. We'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.